So welcome back. This is the 33rd segment of Making Sense for 7 Minutes, a summer-long series, Monday through Friday, where we are surveying in bite-sized pieces our historical heritage as given to us in the Bible, and asking always that immeasurably relevant question, so what? You may know this, but the word incarnation means in the flesh. So when we speak of the incarnation, we're not talking about any old incarnation. We're talking about that occasion when in history and time and space, the creator of the universe entered in and became human. Now, the incarnation is the big theological term for that which took place at Jesus' conception. The big theological term that is used for his birth is Christmas. Yes. Now, here's the question. How many accounts are there? How many stories are there related to Christmas in the New Testament? You ready? 5. True. Let me give them to you sequentially as the events unfold. The first one is found in the 2nd chapter of Philippians, where we read that Christ Jesus, who, although he existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking on the form of a bond servant and being found in appearance as a man. Now, the reason that this one is, one of the reasons that this one is so significant is that this is the one place where we get a peek behind the curtain of eternity, and we get to hear what Jesus is thinking prior to the incarnation. And one of the things that is really significant about this is that what Jesus is thinking preceded and determined what he did. So there's a universal truth here. What a person thinks will determine what they do. The next is found in the Gospel according to John, the 1st chapter, verses 1, 2, and then you scoot down to verse 14, where it says, "In the beginning was the Word," referring to Jesus. "And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we observed his glory, full of grace and truth." And here we begin to see some of Jesus's character, which those of us who are followers of Jesus wish that he would impart more and more and more to us, and that is to be full of grace and truth. This is an essential balance, because grace without truth is milquetoast. It's just spineless. But truth without grace is barbaric. You gotta have them both. The third is the more familiar Christmas story, with Jesus being born in a stable, and the first people to whom the proclamation was made of the coming of the Messiah were shepherds, who were on the lowest rung of the social ladder. They were not to be trusted. they could not give testimony in a court of law and have it accepted. And yet, who is it that turns around and is the first to give testimony to the coming of the Messiah? Shepherds. The fourth account, sequentially, is the most unusual, to say the least. And it's found in the 12th chapter of the book of Revelation, where we read, "A great sign appeared in heaven. A woman was pregnant and cried out in labor and agony to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven. There was a great fiery red dragon, and the dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she did give birth, he might devour her child. But she gave birth to a son, a male, who was going to shepherd all nations. And her child was called up to God. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared by God to be fed for 1,260 days. This is a recounting of the story where in Matthew we're told the Magi come and they encounter Herod and the slaughter of the innocents and the search for Jesus. But this was 2 years later, not at the stable. And they came bringing gold and frankincense and myrrh, enough treasure to finance an escape to Egypt. The pieces begin to fit. Thanks, y'all.